Good afternoon, guys, and happy Thursday. No, it's Wednesday. Wednesday to all of your sunshiny faces. Guys, I feel like this week has went by really fast already, but like, I don't know, I feel like it's actually later in the week. But like thinking that tomorrow's Thursday already is kind of like, whoa, I wasn't expecting that. Actually though, guys, so far every day this week I've gotten everything done on my planner, or gotten everything done on my planner every day so far this week. With the exception of yesterday, I wanted to make my grocery list just because it came. I normally try and do it on Tuesdays, but if I can't finish it, then I will try and finish it on, on Wednesday, Thursday at the latest. So normally those like 3 days are sort of my like prime days to get my grocery list done. I don't like doing it on Thursday just because if we do go to the grocery stores on Friday, then I'm kind of rushing to finish it. And I like a day or two just to kind of let things kind of like sink in as to what I might wind up, you know, needing for the week and stuff like that. Actually, guys, I made a whole chicken for dinner tonight. Well, a like roasting chicken, what are they called? Whole frying chickens, in the slow cooker actually. Oh my gosh, guys, the thing fell apart. I was like, holy cow, you can't, like, you know, my mom makes it in like the roaster and stuff like that, and normally, you know, it gives the skin, like the difference I think between making it like in the oven or in a roaster sort of thing is that it makes the skin more like crispy sort of, whereas when you do it in the slow cooker, it just makes everything so tender and it falls to pieces. So I actually was barely able to get it actually out of the slow cooker to like cut it up, and then my mom went to go and cut it and she actually put a fork in it and the thing just fell to pieces, and I was like, well, there you go, you don't even have to cut anything off. Like, you literally could just tear the pieces off that you wanted. You didn't even have to use a knife or anything. It was kind of reminded me of like Christmas Vacation, where like you guys know the turkey when it just like splits open, but it wasn't dry like that. It was insanely like moist. It was the opposite of that. But that was kind of what it was like reminding me of, just the way it like fell to pieces and just like split open. So yeah, anyways, that was really good. We had some leftover chicken, so what I'm thinking of doing is, let's see, it is Wednesday today, so I'm thinking maybe on Saturday, if it isn't too super hot out, I'm actually going to use the leftover chicken to make a chicken pot pie. Obviously I'll make it in the oven, but if it's really hot out, then I might wind up freezing the chicken and use it for a different day when it's maybe a little cooler out, that we can turn the oven on, because if it's going to be like 90 degrees out, obviously I don't want to add extra heat to the house. So anyways, that is what I'm thinking of, just because I probably had a good cup to 2 cups, probably closer to 2 cups of chicken breast left over. Or not chicken breast, but just chicken pieces pretty much. And then what I ended up doing as well was I saved the carcass and also my leftover, because I had probably like a half of a thing of celery left. So what I ended up doing was actually just chopped up some of the leftover pieces of the celery, because it was kind of looking bad anyway, and we had another thing of celery in the refrigerator as well. But like, it wasn't like looking super bad, but like I knew that probably by the next time we were going to need to use celery, it probably wouldn't have been good. So I used the leftover scraps from the celery along with the chicken carcass and froze it, and I will set it aside to use for chicken broth on a different day that I can make chicken noodle soup with, or not even broth, but stock with. So that is what I'm going to do. Like my mom normally does when we do like a whole frying chicken, normally the very next day she winds up making what's it called, chicken noodle soup. So what I might do is maybe freeze a small, like maybe a cup of that chicken that is left over, and put it with the chicken stock, so that I know that day that I go to make, because there is still a good amount of like chicken left on the bone still, but a lot of it I end up tearing off because it just kind of fell to pieces anyway. So I'll use the carcass to make the stock, and then from the stock make the chicken noodle soup, and use the extra chicken in the chicken noodle soup. But again, that's probably going to be a day when it's maybe a little cooler out. I read online that like the chicken carcass can basically stay good in the refrigerator or in the freezer for up to like I think a year or so. So I'm thinking maybe more in the fall, when it's a little bit more soup weather out, we can do that. Or two, if there is just a day when it is supposed to be colder in the summer, like, you know, 60s or something like that, we can always go to soup and do that. Just again though, soup is normally a cold weather kind of thing, so that's why not really something something I am looking to do in the middle of summer. But it's good to, again, have that extra leftover chicken carcass that we can use and make into chicken noodle soup one day. So that's pretty much a freezer dinner made already, waiting for fall. It's, again, just going to be a couple pieces, but I don't know if I want to freeze the chicken breasts or, you know, the chicken pieces and wait that long or not. What I can always do is, if I have leftover, if I'm using a chicken breast for one of the freezer dinners that's closer to fall, when I'm thinking about making it, I might just like cut the tenderloins off and maybe save those pieces and then cook that in the soup as well. Or, you know, just again, if we maybe wind up doing a, you know, another whole frying chicken closer to fall when I might think about making it, I can always save those leftover chicken pieces as well. But as I was telling you guys before, the one thing that I think quarantine has taught me a lot was really how to use things up, stretch a meal, make things go further than what they normally would. And again, you don't realize how a chicken, you know, like you know, I think when you buy, instead of just buying like, you know, chicken breasts or something like that, but when you actually wind up buying like ham off the bone, or you wind up buying, again, a whole chicken fryer or a turkey or something like that. My mom does the exact same thing too. Normally during Thanksgiving, we'll do our own separate turkey, even if we don't do it on Thanksgiving, but we will do that and use the chicken, or use the turkey, and then again, she'll normally will have leftovers for a day or two after that, and then normally the following, you know, days as well, she will wind up making turkey noodle soup. So again, I like, you know, my mom has always kind of been into that, like, you know, reuse all of whatever's left. But I think that you know, we sometimes, you know, when we're just like, oh, we just need chicken breasts or whatever, like, you know, using up actually a whole chicken can give you 3 meals that we paid $4 for this chicken, and will probably give us 4 meals out of. Again, the meal we had tonight, the leftover chicken that I can make into a pot pie, and then also into chicken noodle soup. So, you know, $4 little frying chicken ends up making 4 dinners. Again, obviously there's extra things that you need for that, like the pot pie, you're gonna need pie crust and, you know, all the other, you know, ingredients for making that, and the chicken noodle soup as well. But the chicken noodle soup, really, if you're making homemade, you know, stock, and you have the chicken, you know, breast or whatever you're using as well, chicken pieces, you just really need noodles and some spices and seasonings and stuff like that. It's really all the extra that you need for that. So again, you know, like that is really what it's taught me, because the same thing too, when we were, I think we actually made the turkey maybe that we got for Thanksgiving, like over, like maybe at the start of like lockdown or something like that. I think just because it was in the freezer and we didn't have enough room because we were buying other stuff for the freezer, and it'd been sitting out there, you know, for a couple months. So I think that's maybe when we made it, or maybe we made it like shortly after Christmas or something like that. But again, my mom did the same thing too and was able to stretch it for a couple meals. She did the same thing too when we had the ham from what's it called, the ham from Easter. We ended up making, you know, we had ham, we had leftover ham I think the next day, and then the following couple days after that, with the leftover ham scraps, we ended up making a pasta salad that we ended up having while we grilled, like as a side sort of, and then my mom used the leftover ham bone to make a split pea soup. So again, that I think stretched to be 4 dinners or something like that, and again, it was not a super expensive, you know, ham or whatever. But I think when you buy big cuts of meat, and or, you know, like a whole bird, or, you know, that kind of stuff, especially with like bone in, instead of buying like just pork chops with the bone, you know, boneless or boneless skinless chicken breasts and stuff like that, you lose a lot of that in being able to use, again, some of that leftover like scrap and stuff like that, that actually does stretch to go further, and can make more meals and stuff like that. So that, like I said, is kind of, my mom has always been really good at that, but it's something that I kind of am picking up a little bit more too, and just seeing like where the usage is as well, instead of being like, you know, we had hot dogs in the fridge and we could just be like, oh, well, we can grill them, or we can, you know, we have a couple of boxes of macaroni and cheese. We can also throw those into the hot dogs and with the macaroni and cheese, which is what I'm going to do for dinner tomorrow, because I actually am hoping to get out into the garden. Me and Jack tomorrow, I think, are going to do some weeding. There's really, honestly, guys, I'm super happy because a lot of our garden right now is really mature, so there's not a lot of weeds coming in, which is awesome. Our vegetable garden looks a little bit like it needs some help with some stuff, but for the most part, like the rest of our flower beds actually look really good. I did do some slight weeding in a couple of the beds, but I haven't actually spent like a whole day outside doing weeding other than just some spot stuff here and there. And so while I don't even know that it's really going to take us that long, because again, they don't really look that bad. I mean, sometimes when I actually start getting in there, I'm like, oh, I didn't even notice all of this stuff everywhere, but it's so mature and stuff is like multiplying sort of too. Like our one little, you know, tiny little spot of plant that we had maybe 3 or 2 years ago when we really kind of redid most of the flower beds, you know, those little ones have now like spread, and there's way more of them than there was 2 years ago, when again I probably had the worst problem with weeds. And then 2, just because some of those are just ones that keep coming back, and so once I actually get them out of there, for the most part it's just like stuff that kind of blows in and is easier to pull up, you know, either from the grass or, you know, just dandelions, you know, that kind of stuff. Just the seeds kind of get into the flower bed. Once those ones that are, you know, tend to come back every year are kind of, you know, have been taken out of there. I feel like that one summer, not last summer, but the summer before that was the hardest year, just because it would be, you know, like every 2 to 3 weeks I'd have to be back out there to like get stuff done, it felt like, again. And last year was maybe about every month. So far, again, I've done a little spot, you know, cleaning sort of, I guess, here and there, but for the most part they have not needed a lot of tending at all. They have been pretty good, and again, that's because we really let them go probably a good several years before 2 years ago, when you know, we kind of ended up redoing most of the flower beds, and a lot of the stuff did come back, but some of the stuff is just completely gone and chewed out by weeds. So you know, the stuff that we now have replanted is doing amazingly well and is taking over, which is good because it's keeping all the weeds out of the beds. But again, I haven't really been out there yet, so that's why I want to spend some time out there. But like I was saying with the dinners, tomorrow's just going to be super easy. I'm just going to boil mac and cheese and throw hot dogs in there, because also too, Matthew will not be here, and I thought my mom was not going to be here. I guess she is for dinner tomorrow night, so that's why I was like, oh, I'll just make a super easy meal. And I guess Matthew still won't be here, but my mom will be, so it's still only going to be 3 people. It's not that big of a deal. And again, we've been eating actually really like pretty good, like I said, pretty healthy food, I think, for the most part so far this week. And I've been actually really good too, because I've actually been using my planner for meal planning as well. And so again, I'm going to do macaroni and cheese with hot dogs tomorrow, just because again, we have hot dogs in the fridge. I want to use those up instead of just being like, oh, wait till the next time we grill, which I think will be this weekend. But again, maybe we'll do sausage, because I'm thinking of Father's Day grilling. So I'm thinking maybe we'll do sausage though, just because my dad really likes Italian sausage, and do that instead of doing what's it called, hot dogs. So I was like, well, I'll use the hot dogs up, because I don't want them to sit for a super long amount of time without using them. So again, I just thought that'd be an easy one, especially if not everybody's going to be here to be able to eat. And then I think on Friday we're gonna go to grocery shopping, at least to Caputo's and maybe to like Jewel or something like that. At least do 2 of the stores. And when we do that, I will get, Caputo's has their half pans of mostaccioli for $5, so I think I'm going to pick up maybe 2 of those, which I think should be more than enough to feed us on Friday night. So I don't really like to do pasta back-to-back nights, but I just, like I said, figured that tomorrow, because I don't know, how long it's gonna take. I don't know how pooped and tired I'm gonna be tomorrow from you know, getting the gardening and stuff like that done, because a lot of times days after I'm done out in the gardens, I'm just exhausted and I'm like, okay, that's it, I'm checked out, you know. So just throwing a pot of boiling water on the stove and throwing some macaroni and cheese in there, and again cutting up some hot dogs and cooking those up and throwing them in there too, hopefully will not be a problem. And on top of that too, I also cut up all of the fruits and vegetables that we had, just because I didn't have room at the beginning of the week, and now that people have been eating up some of the stuff in the fridge, now I had room. I cut up watermelon, cantaloupe, and also we had cauliflower as well. So I steamed cauliflower and carrots for dinner tonight to go along with the chicken, and we had also some, we also had watermelon and pineapple, just because nothing says summer like watermelon. You know, it's on sale right now, so I always like cut up watermelon once we have it. I have that big like food storage container, and then I always, it's like the perfect amount for like a average sized watermelon to cut up and then throw in there, and then we can have it for a couple days, and it's all chopped up already, don't have to worry about anything, or a huge like half of a watermelon still sitting in the fridge because I only cut up half of it or whatever. So anyways guys, I will let you guys know though tomorrow how the gardens look and everything like that, maybe show you guys as well. But I'll see you guys all in tomorrow's vlog. If you guys did enjoy today's, make sure you guys give it a big thumbs up. If you guys are new, we'd love if you'd subscribe, and I'll see all of your sunshine faces tomorrow. So bye guys.